Listen closely, my friends. Pressure never knocks before it enters your life. It arrives through one phone call, one piece of bad news, one deadline, one financial, music, problem, or one moment when everything suddenly feels heavier than you can carry. And that is where the real battle begins. Not outside you, but inside your mind. When pressure hits, your heart races, your thoughts scatter, music, and your mind starts creating disasters that haven't even happened. One small spark, music, becomes an entire forest fire inside your imagination. The pressure itself may be real, but the chaos you create around it can be far, music, greater. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. Epictetus taught that we are disturbed, music, not simply by events but by the judgments we attach to them. Marcus Aurelius, music, constantly reminded himself to return to reason when circumstances, music, became difficult. The event may be outside your control. Your response, music, is where your power begins. Think of a mountain standing in the middle of a violent storm. The wind attacks it. Rain crashes against it. Lightning, music, tears through the sky. But the mountain does not panic. It does not chase the storm or beg it to stop. It remains standing. Music, that is the mind you must build. Because calm is easy, music, when everything is going your way. Real strength appears when the music deadline is closing. People are pressuring you. Failure is staring at you. Music, and you have every reason to lose control. That moment doesn't create your character, it reveals it. Seneca understood another dangerous truth. We often suffer more in imagination than in reality. Your mind whispers, "What if everything goes wrong?" And suddenly you're fighting battles that haven't even happened. So when pressure comes, don't give it your first reaction. Pause. Breathe. Separate music, facts from fear. Control what is yours to control and refuse to surrender your mind to what isn't. And in music, this video, we're going through 10 powerful lessons that will teach you how to face pressure without music panic. Think clearly when everything feels overwhelming and turn pressure from something that music controls you into something you know how to handle. Because the goal is not to live a music life without pressure. The goal is to become the kind of person pressure cannot control. Don't music panic. Master pressure. Lesson 1. Master the first reaction. The first battle against pressure happens in the first few seconds. Before you solve the problem, before you, music, make the decision, before you speak a single word, your mind will try to give you an immediate, music, answer. Panic, escape, attack, or surrender. That first reaction feels automatic, but it doesn't, music, have to become your final response. A trained mind creates a space between music, what happens and what it does next. Imagine a ship caught in the middle of a violent ocean. The waves don't ask the captain whether he is ready. Music, they rise, crash against the vessel, and disappear beneath it. A weak captain fights every wave emotionally. Music, a skilled captain watches the compass, adjusts the sails, and keeps moving toward the destination. Music, pressure is the ocean. Your reaction is the steering wheel. Epictetus, music, expressed the Stoic principle with extraordinary clarity. It is not, music, things that disturb people, but their judgments about things. The bad, music, news is one thing. The meaning you immediately attach to it is another. I'm finished. Everything is ruined. I can't handle this. Those thoughts can turn one difficult event into music, a psychological prison. This is why your first objective under pressure is not to, music, solve everything. It is to stop making the situation worse inside your own head. Don't answer the angry message, music, while your blood is boiling. Don't make a life-changing decision while fear is screaming. Don't turn one failure into a prophecy, music, about your entire future. Marcus Aurelius faced wars, political betrayal, music, illness, and uncertainty. Yet, he repeatedly returned his attention to what was directly in front of him. That, music, is the discipline. Not demanding that reality become comfortable, but becoming mentally strong, music, enough to meet reality as it is. You don't need to control the entire battlefield. Music, you need to control the next move. Think of a diamond. It does not become valuable because pressure disappears. It becomes valuable because enormous pressure transforms what was hidden inside music, it. Your pressure can do the same to you, but only if you stop treating every difficult music moment as evidence that you are broken. The next time pressure hits, give yourself 10 seconds before you react. Breathe slowly. Name what is actually music happening. Then ask yourself one question. What is the next move that is within my control? Not tomorrow, music, not next month, not the worst possible outcome, just the next move. Because panic wants you to see the entire mountain at once. Wisdom, music, asks you to take the next step. And when you master that first reaction, pressure, music, stops being the force that controls your mind and becomes the test that reveals, music, how much control you have built. Lesson 2: Separate the problem from the panic. When pressure enters, music, your life, the first mistake you make is often not the problem itself. It is confusing the problem with the story your mind creates about it. Something goes wrong and immediately your mind jumps 10 steps, music, ahead. One mistake becomes failure. One failure becomes disaster. One, music, difficult conversation becomes the end of everything. Before reality has finished, music, speaking, your imagination has already written the ending. The Stoics understood that the mind can turn a small, music, wound into a permanent scar simply by repeatedly touching it. An event happens once, but your mind can make you experience it 100 times. Epictetus, music, taught that we are disturbed by our judgments about events, not merely by the events themselves. The power lies in learning to examine the judgment before believing it. Imagine standing in a dark room and seeing a shadow move across the wall. Your body reacts before your mind understands what music it is. You assume danger. Your heart accelerates. But then you turn on the light and, music, discover it was only a curtain moving in the wind. The darkness didn't create the monster. Your imagination did. Pressure, music, works the same way. So when something goes wrong, stop saying everything is falling apart. Replace it with something precise. This specific thing went wrong. Music, don't say I can't handle this. Ask what exactly do I need to handle. Music, don't say my future is ruined. Ask what has, music, actually happened and what am I only predicting. That distinction is incredibly, music, powerful because fear speaks in absolutes. Always, never, everything, music, nothing. Reality rarely speaks that way. Reality, music, gives you one event, one decision, one obstacle. Panic takes that single event, music, and turns it into an entire identity. Marcus Aurelius practiced looking directly at things without adding unnecessary drama to them. He would, music, reduce situations to their essential reality. That is emotional discipline. Seeing the event without, music, decorating it with fear. Think of a surgeon standing in an operating room. The patient may be in danger. The situation may be urgent and, music, every second may matter. But the surgeon cannot afford to panic with the patient. He must become more, music, precise as the pressure increases. The greater the pressure, the more valuable clarity becomes. You can train yourself the same way. When pressure hits, divide the situation into 3 parts. What happened? What I am imagining, what I can actually, music, do. The first is reality. The second, music, is your interpretation. The third is your power. And this, music, is where you begin taking your mind back because pressure wants you emotionally involved in, music, every possible outcome. Wisdom brings you back to the only place where action exists, the present moment. You cannot solve tomorrow's disaster, music, today. You cannot control an outcome that hasn't happened. You cannot fight, music, 10 imaginary battles and still have enough strength for the real one. So stop fighting ghosts. Look at the problem. Name it. Music, reduce it. Handle what is yours and let the rest remain where it belongs. Because when you separate the problem from the panic, the problem often becomes smaller and you become larger than it. Lesson 3: Music. Control your body before you control the situation. When pressure hits, your body often reacts before your mind has time, music, to understand what is happening. Your heartbeat accelerates, your breathing becomes shallow, your music muscles tighten, and suddenly your thoughts begin moving at the same music speed as your pulse. This is why trying to think positively, music, while your nervous system is screaming danger often fails. Before you can command your thoughts, you must learn to, music, calm the physical storm carrying them. The Stoics understood the importance of composure. They didn't believe strength meant, music, never feeling fear or tension. Strength meant refusing to let those, music, sensations become your commander. Your body may send you the signal that something, music, is dangerous, but a signal is not always a command. You can, music, feel pressure without becoming pressure. Imagine a rider on a powerful horse during a storm. The horse hears thunder and suddenly wants to run. If the rider panics too, music, both become uncontrollable. But if the rider becomes still, grips the reins, controls his breathing, music, and keeps his eyes forward, the animal slowly responds to his composure. Your body is that horse. Your awareness is the rider. This is why your breathing matters under pressure. When you deliberately slow your breathing, create physical, music, stillness, and stop feeding frantic movements, you send your mind a different message. We are not, music, surrendering. You aren't pretending the problem doesn't exist. You're creating enough internal space to respond intelligently. Think about a professional athlete before the final moment of a competition. The crowd is screaming. The clock is running. Everything is moving at maximum speed. Yet the best performers often become strangely quiet, music, inside. Their movements become deliberate. Their attention, music, narrows. Pressure doesn't disappear. They become more precise, music, inside it. That is the skill you need. When pressure rises, don't immediately, music, start talking. Don't pace around the room. Don't fire off messages. Don't make 10 decisions simultaneously. Slow your body down before you, music, speed your mind up. Take one controlled breath. Relax your shoulders. Unclench, music, your jaw. Plant your feet. Look directly at what is happening. Then decide. This may sound simple, but simplicity becomes incredibly powerful, music, when everything around you becomes chaotic. Marcus Aurelius wrote about maintaining tranquility, music, amid disturbance. The point was never to become a stone without emotion. It was to prevent external, music, events from turning the inner world into chaos. A storm can shake, music, the surface of the ocean while the depths remain relatively still. Become like that ocean. Let the surface feel the pressure, but don't allow the deepest, music, part of you to become violent every time life creates a wave. Because the person who can control his breathing, music, posture, voice, and movements under pressure has already won an important battle. He has created, music, distance between stimulus and reaction. And inside the distance is something incredibly valuable. Choice. Music, pressure wants speed. Wisdom creates space. So the next time everything, music, starts moving too quickly, don't immediately move with it. Slow down. Music, because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do in a crisis is not to move faster, but to become still enough to see, music, clearly. Lesson 4: Stop trying to solve everything at once. Pressure becomes overwhelming when you look at the entire mountain instead of the next step. Your mind sees, music, the deadline, the consequences, the people waiting for an answer, the possibility of, music, failure, and suddenly one problem feels like 10,000 problems. But your mind was never designed to carry, music, tomorrow, next month, and the rest of your life at the same time. The Stoics, music, understood the power of returning to what is immediately in front of you. Marcus Aurelius repeatedly, music, brought himself back to the present task. Do what the moment requires and do it with excellence. Not everything deserves your attention, music, right now. Some problems belong to tomorrow. Some belong to next week. Some may never happen at all. Music, imagine a climber standing beneath an enormous mountain. If he, music, stares at the summit for hours, the distance can make him feel powerless. But the mountain is not climbed in one movement. Music, it is conquered through thousands of small steps. He doesn't need to reach the summit today. He only needs to find the next place to put his foot. Your pressure works the same way. Don't ask, how am I going to fix my entire music life? Ask, what is the next thing I can do? If you're drowning in work, don't think, music, about the entire workload. Finish the first important task. If you're facing a financial problem, music, don't panic about your entire future. Identify the first action that improves your position. If you're in conflict with someone, don't rehearse every possible argument. Decide what needs to be said clearly and calmly. Music, if you failed, don't immediately rebuild your entire identity. Study what happened. Music, correct what you can. Take the next step. Pressure feeds on complexity. Clarity feeds on reduction. A soldier in battle doesn't need to know how every part of the war will unfold before taking, music, his next position. He needs to understand his objective, read the ground, and make the next intelligent move. Your life may feel like a battlefield, music, sometimes, but panic will never give you a better strategy. This is also why you should stop demanding certainty before taking action. You may never know whether your decision will produce the perfect, music, outcome. You can only make the best decision available with the information you have now. That is enough. Seneca understood that the mind suffers when it constantly lives in imagined, music, futures. You don't need to experience tomorrow's pain today. Music, don't pay emotional interest on a debt that hasn't come due. When pressure, music, rises, narrow your world. What is happening right now? What actually needs to be done, music, right now? What is within your control right now? Then do that one breath, one decision, one action, one step, and then another. Because the mountain doesn't become smaller. You become stronger by learning how to climb it. When you stop trying to, music, carry the entire future on your shoulders, pressure loses its ability to paralyze, music, you. Don't conquer everything today. Conquer what is in front of you. Lesson 5. Stop fighting what you cannot control. One of the deepest reasons pressure destroys people is that they waste their, music, strength fighting things that were never theirs to command. You want people, music, to understand you. You want circumstances to cooperate. You want the outcome to match the effort you gave. And when, music, reality refuses, you don't just face the problem. You begin fighting reality itself. That, music, second battle is where much of your suffering begins. Epictetus built an entire philosophy around one brutal, music, distinction. Some things are within your control and some things are not. Your judgment, your choices, your, music, effort, your discipline, your response, these belong to you. Other people's opinions, the past, unexpected events, and the, music, final outcome do not confuse these two worlds and pressure becomes unbearable. Imagine standing on the shore trying to command the ocean to stop producing waves. You can scream at it. You can become angry. Music, you can demand calm. But the ocean doesn't care. The waves will, music, continue. The wise sailor doesn't waste his strength arguing with the sea. He adjusts the sails, studies the current, music, and changes his course. That is how you should approach pressure. You cannot control whether someone disappoints you. But you can control what, music, you do next. You cannot control whether an opportunity disappears, but you can, music, control whether you prepare for the next one. You cannot control whether people, music, criticize you, but you can control whether their words destroy your concentration. You, music, cannot control the outcome completely, but you can control the quality of the person you bring into, music, the outcome. This distinction becomes especially powerful during uncertainty. When you, music, don't know what will happen, your mind desperately tries to predict everything. It creates scenarios, music, calculates possibilities, rehearses disasters. You think you're preparing yourself, but often you're simply exhausting, music, yourself before reality has even arrived. Marcus Aurelius faced, music, an empire filled with events he couldn't personally control. His power came from repeatedly returning to the only territory, music, that truly belonged to him, his own mind and conduct. Think about music, a tree during a violent storm. A rigid branch can snap because it refuses to move. A flexible branch bends with the wind and survives. Flexibility is not weakness. It is controlled, music, adaptation. You need that kind of flexibility under pressure. If the plan changes, music, adapt. If someone leaves, continue. If the opportunity disappears, music, create another path. If the situation becomes harder, become more precise. Don't waste your energy asking, music, why isn't life going the way I wanted? Ask, given that this is reality, what can I do now? That question turns helplessness into action. And this is where Stoicism becomes more than philosophy. It becomes a survival skill. Because when you stop demanding that reality obey your preferences, you recover enormous amounts, music, of mental energy. You stop trying to control the storm. Music, you learn to steer through it. And once you understand that difference, pressure loses one of its greatest weapons. Because you don't need the world to cooperate with, music, you to remain composed. You only need to remain in command of yourself. Music, Lesson 6, turn pressure into focus. Most people think pressure takes, music, their focus away. The truth is pressure reveals whether you ever learned how to focus in the first place. When everything, music, becomes urgent, your attention starts jumping from one fear to another.